So now we're going to talk about how to multiply fractions. Okay? So to multiply two fractions, so by the way, I want you guys to notice that, I want you guys to not be intimidated by the way I've written this down in a very verbal fashion. But I want you to take advantage of writing this verbal description down in your notebook if you're making notes of my videos. Because by reading out loud, you will get an extra layer of mental connection between the procedure that you're going to see performed, the verbal description of it, and it's going to help you to learn it better. And this will also help you if you're an auditory learner, because you can read it out loud and you'll be able to interpret it audibly. If you're and also it'll help you to develop your language skills, because I've kind of tried to state this in a precise way. And also, but anyway, I want you to not take this verbal description too lightly, and use it to help you as you perform the procedure. So, for example, let's get straight to the brass tacks. If I don't show you how to multiply two fractions, this video might as well be, a cat video. That's worthless. Okay. So, for example, if I want to multiply the fractions 2 over 7, the fraction 2 over 7 with 3 over 5, I'm going to use this procedure. So first, let me read it to you out loud, because that'll help you to learn it as well. To multiply two fractions, you multiply the numerators of the two factors to get the numerator of the product, and you multiply the denominators of the factors to get the denominator of the product. Okay. So here I have the two factors, 2 over 7 and 3 over 5. And what the procedure says is that I'm going to multiply the numerators of the two factors to get the numerator of the product. So the numerator of the product will be 2 times 3. And then it says that I multiply the denominators of the factors to get the denominator of the product. So the denominator of my product will be 7 times 5. Aha! What's 2 times 3? 6. What's 7 times 5? 35. So I can say here that the product of the two fractions, 2 sevenths and 3 fifths, is 6 35ths, or 6 out of 35. Okay. 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 Now let me do another example for you. What if I was going to do 1/8 of 3 over 5? Okay? I'm going to do the same thing. How do I get the numerator of my product? I multiply the numerators of my factors. So 1 times 3. How do I get the denominator of my product? I multiply the denominators of my factors. And I see that 1 times 3 is 3, 8 times 5 is 40. So 1/8 of 3 fifths is 3 over 40. Okay? Okay. Let me also do, let's say, 6 over 10 of 2/3 or whatever. This will give us 6 times 2 as my numerator and 10 times 3 as my denominator. And again, why? Because the numerator of my product will be the product of the numerators of the factors, and because the denominator of my product is the product of the denominators of the factors. 6 times 2 is 12, 10 times 3 is 30, and so I can see here that the product of the two fractions, 6/10 and 2/3, is the fraction 12 over 30. Now at this moment, a lot of you who may have seen fractions before know that this is not in simplest terms yet. And I want you all to know that we're going to talk about that later, how to bring a fraction to lowest terms. But right now, I want to build brick by brick on this, on your fraction knowledge. And in order to do so, I'm going to not simplify that for the moment, and we're going to talk about simplifying later. Okay. Okay, so now I also want to give another example, and that is, what would be 2/3 times 3? This is interesting. Now, the reason why I'm going to show this example is because this example is going to let us see how we use some of the facts that we were given before. For example, in this case, I can multiply 2/3 times 3 as 2/3 times 3/1. In other words, I use my fact number 2 to write the number 3 as a fraction, because we know now how to multiply fractions, and we get, what is the product of the two fractions? The numerator of the product will be the product of the numerators, so 2 times 3 on top, and the product and the denominator of the product will be the product of the denominators of the factors, and so it'll be 3 times 1, and we see that 2/3 times 3 is 6/3. Okay, it's 6/3, and also, just as a brief example, I want to also use the other rule, and that was to say, what is let's say 3/5 times 1. Well, we know that it's going to be 3/5. Anything times 1 is 3/5. And in fact, I can write 1 as a fraction. I can write 3/5 times 1/1. For the same reason as our previous fact. But now we see in fact that 3 times 1, which is the product, which is the numerator of the product, divided by 5 times 1, which is the denominator of the product, will in fact give us 3/5. So using the two rules, we're able to show that this is consistent. So these two examples show us that this is consistent with what we're expecting. Yes. Okay. And so this will be enough for now.